Additional support comes from our friends at Manscaped, the winning name in men's below-the-belt trimming, offering engineered tools for your family jewels. Jingle balls to the walls, fellas. The holiday season has come once more, so return those pubes to the times of yore. Get yourself the gift of shaving this holiday season with the Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0. You've skipped the tricks, now avoid the nicks. With the Lawnmower 3.0's proprietary advanced skin-safe technology, this trimmer cuts on your nuts. Not to mention its waterproof power so you can shave in the shower. Also included in the Perfect Package is the Crop Preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer, the Crop Reviver for quick spritz refreshing, a pair of Manscaped high-performance anti-chafing boxers, and a t-shirt. Go to manscaped.com and use the promo code FINSUP to save an instant 20% and get free shipping. 'Tis the season to trim the trees and feel the breeze between your knees. Manscaped, your balls will thank you. Hello and welcome to the Fin Addicts Miami Dolphins podcast on the Fin Addicts Network, brought to you in part by Manscaped, where something Manscaped, but three shows, so there's only one way to start off one of these. Brian, if you'd please, in the fight song.
Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl, 'cause we're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1. Yes, we're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1.
Oh, you can't not love that song, especially that banjo. Just really, you feel it deep down in the core. I love it. It's deep in the heart of the South. Anyways, I am the legendary Sevach, joined, of course, as always, by my co-host from No Coast, the man, the myth, the mustache. You know him as Mr. Brian Byrne. How you doing, Brian?
I'm great, Sevach. Another Victory Monday. You gotta love it. 4 in a row.
That's right. And of course, today we are also joined by a very special guest, returning guest and friend of the show from the Hochman and Crowder and executive producer of the Miami Dolphins radio broadcast, Mr. Solana. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. A celebration Monday. Doesn't get much better than that.
No, sir. No, it does not. What a game it was, actually. I happened to catch most of it on the road, if you can imagine. It was pretty wild, actually. Caught the last little bit of it in the parking lot of Wendy's. Almost sprayed freaking frosty all over the interior of my car. Thankfully, I did not, but the excitement was palpable. My goodness, I almost had to get out and do a lap, but, you know, the weather was kind of inclement. But let's get on topic, though. Of course, the big story we got to talk about is this young man, Tua. I mean, it really was Tua time, right? You know, 20 of 28, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns. He even rushed a little bit, 35 yards on 7 carries, averaging 5 yards per carry, including a 17-yard run in the fourth quarter. So, Solana, what was your assessment of this young man's performance?
He was everything I wanted him to be and more. And by the way, I want to circle back and find out if you had a chocolate or vanilla frosty. We don't have to get to that now, but I definitely want to find out. There was one specific play, and Chris Whittingham, he's the pregame host of the Miami Dolphins broadcast. He had tweeted this out, I think, this morning. There was one specific play that stood out to me, guys. Third quarter is winding down. Dolphins are down 31-24. We get the ball back down in our own goal line, basically. First 2 plays are handoffs. You don't get much, obviously, because Jordan Howard is basically non-existent to this offense unless he's on the goal line. And it's like a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 situation. In the past, my entire life being a Dolphins fan, I'm 26 years old. Everything I remember, that situation would have been either another draw play, punt the ball, trust your defense, which would have been fair considering how our defenses have been playing, or Ryan Tannehill would have gotten the ball, patted down, by the defensive line, and you punt the ball away. And then Kyler Murray comes down the field, makes it a 2-score game, and you lose the game. Just because my entire life, that's what watching the Miami Dolphins has been. They give you the slightest bit of hope just to let you down late in the game when it matters most. Tua Tagovailoa delivers a dart, dangerous pass, but a dart to Devontae Parker. First down, drives down the field, makes 3 or 4 more incredible plays with his feet, and delivers a dime to the end zone to a guy I've never heard of. That stood out to me, guys, as, wow, we finally have a real, legit quarterback.
That's right. And the unheard of man, Mr. Mac Hollins, standing at 6'4", 220 pounds, is damn near a tight end, but very impressive catch. Brian, what were your thoughts?
First of all, Mac Hollins and you are rivaling the same hairstyle going on there. Yeah, I mean, this is everything we hoped, right? When we drafted Tua, we got it. I mean, he played good the whole game, but as Solana referred to, that we're down by a touchdown. Everything's on the line. We get the ball on the 8-yard line. And, I think that's the thing that he left out from that is, I mean, with that Parker throw, we were on our 8 or 9 yard line. Right. But it was just play after play. The same drive, he hit Gesicki falling backwards 20 yards downfield, that 17-yard run before that beautiful pass to Mac Hollins for the touchdown. It just seems that he wasn't, the moment wasn't too big for him. You felt the whole time he was going to pull it off, and there's a different vibe at quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, and it's all what we were hoping for when we started tanking. This is everything advertised, but to say that I expected him to do that in game 2 on the road with no preseason I would be lying. He's way ahead of where I thought he'd be at this time. I honestly didn't even think he'd be playing at this time. So the future is bright in Miami at the quarterback position.
I agree. And it was nice to see him deliver what we've come to expect from him during his time at Alabama. He was clutch. He came in, he made the throws that needed to be made at the times they needed to be made. He made plays with his feet. He's every bit of the quarterback we were hoping to get. By the way, to answer your question, Solana, vanilla, and I'm assuming you're a vanilla fan too. Otherwise, you wouldn't have asked.
No, I go chocolate at Wendy's.
Really?
I go chocolate. Yeah.
So actually,
but vanilla's all right. But I'm a big French fry into the chocolate frosty guy. A huge French fry into the chocolate frosty guy.
See, I'm French fry into the vanilla frosty.
Okay, all right.
But you know what, though? To be fair, it was actually a little bit of both because we kind of lucked out. We were driving through, and when we got our food, they were like, "Hey, you want an extra free frosty?" And I was sure. And so we ended up with a chocolate one too. So it worked out. But I love what you brought up there, talking about the run game, Jordan Howard being non-existent. I know we have beaten this one to death. Brian made sure to remind me before we got started, but he didn't even average 2 yards per carry. As I said to you before we started recording, we should give him his money and him on his way because I don't think he's doing anything for us offensively or, whatever. There was that one play that one I actually put more on Chan Gailey, but we won't talk about him. I know I've been going off for way too long, but Tua had this great outing with some of his, without some of his most consistent weapons. Gaskin's on IR. Breida was out with a hamstring injury. Williams left the game in the second quarter with 10 minutes left after he scored the touchdown, and basically leaving him with just Parker, Grant, and Gesicki, and of course Mac Hollins, which I guess takes us over to what we were touching on. Colin Cowherd, prior to this game, or actually prior to his first start, had expressed these concerns, all of a sudden pulling an about face after being wholly in Tua's corner all throughout the draft process, and even going as far as to give the Miami Dolphins an A on a draft grade and for taking him. Suddenly he does this about face claiming, well, you know what? I think he looks small and he doesn't have the wiggle and he doesn't have the strong arm. And then he felt like maybe his comments were, what's the word I'm thinking, confirmed to his first start, even though there were training wheels on him for that entire game. And of course, the game didn't really favor an offensive game plan from Miami. And so then, of course, he was forced to eat his words against the Cardinals. Do you have that clip though, Brian?
I sure do. Let's check it out.
So he's going to struggle to see over offensive lines. And unlike a Kyler Murray or a Fran Tarkenton or a Russell Wilson, who move around a lot and therefore open up passing lanes they can see, Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray, they throw interceptions, and we all acknowledge, analysts acknowledge, they couldn't see over the offensive lineman. So I get the small without the wiggle. Show me the success stories. One, Drew Brees. I'm not, and I told you, you were here. I do think his comp, leadership A+, toughness A+, smarts A+, big game productivity A+. But I had this epiphany. I'm like, I'm watching all these comments on polling, and I'm like, suddenly polling's never accurate? That's silly. That's not true. Polling's accurate all the time. 90% of the time it's accurate. And this idea that short and no wiggle is going to dominate in the NFL, I'm like, who are the two quarterbacks? Let me ask you this. So think about Burrow.
He goes on from there. There's really nothing too more important there. What we will go back to is the no wiggle comment. Not only does he say he doesn't have the arm and he doesn't have the wiggle, but I have a video here that may suggest otherwise to Mr. Colin Cowherd.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Oh.
Yep.
Later.
Whoopsies.
Later.
Oh, that is definitely the one right there.
That looked like wiggle to me. I don't know about you guys.
I would agree, because that should have been a sack. I mean, they had him pretty much dead to rights. He found a hole that shouldn't have even been there. Somehow he managed to get away. So it's not that premise is silly, Mr. Cowherd. You, sir, are the silly one, because that looked like plenty of wiggle to me. But maybe I don't know, man. I'm not like an expert or anything. Solana, what do you think?
Oh, well, what stood out to me the most there also was he didn't avoid contact. Like, he looked for the contact. He wanted the extra 4 yards, even though he had already passed the first down markers. Like, he wanted the extra 4 to 5 yards. Bro, Tua's a football player. He's a playmaker. I know it's cliche, but like what we saw yesterday, he's a playmaker. That play specifically is a perfect example. Nothing worked the way it was supposed to work. He has his back literally turned to the first down, right? Like, his back, how many times do you see that where an NFL quarterback, it's not even in an act of him turning, like his back, just because the line collapsed on him, was to the first down, he's still able to find some way to maneuver out of the pocket, out of the collapsing pocket, and seeks contact. He's going to be fine. Like, all this stuff from Colin Cowherd and Dan Orlovsky was questioning Flores' decision. I know he apologized, and Ryan Clark can't make up his mind on Tua. Like, the guy was calling for Tua to get plays, then Tua gets a play, and then he's questioning why Brian Flores is giving him plays. I don't know what Ryan Clark wants, really, from the NFL or from Tua Tagovailoa. Yesterday proved Tua Tagovailoa is going to be a very good, if not great, quarterback for a long time to come. Like, I think, and I don't think I'm being a homer when I say that. I don't think I'm speaking out of term. I truly saw that yesterday, and that play speaks to it. He makes plays, and when you can make plays, no matter how tall or how small you are, there's going to be a place for you in this league.
I couldn't agree more. Brian?
Yeah, I mean, every one of Cullen's arguments was just a very thin straw. I mean, Tua was the guy that he was in Alabama yesterday. There wasn't only that, there was another running play. And I don't know where all of a sudden this wiggle thing is like, before Colin Cowherd, I've never heard wiggle as a stat, as like a attribute of NFL quarterbacks. Right. But the dude makes plays. You know, he made Buda Baker. How do you say his name? Buda Baker.
Buda Baker.
All pro safety. He made him look stupid on one play. You know, like, and that's an all pro. The guy makes plays, and the talk about his arm strength. I mean, like I said, he hit Gesicki across the body, other side of the field, on his back foot, 20 yards downfield. The kid just has it, and he had it in Alabama, and you know, we weren't sure what he had in it against LA. We didn't see a lot. We saw a couple drop balls. We never really saw him get going, but everything that we wanted to see, you know, like he got put in every bad situation and he came out on top. And, you know, the NFL is week to week, and it could change next week, and he could have a bad week next week. But I mean, he showed he's capable of doing everything we need our quarterback to do yesterday. And, you know, like you said, the other thing that Colin Cowherd came out and said today is he was more impressed by Kyler Murray this morning. Kyler Murray was throwing to Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins, the best wide receiver on the planet, you know, Larry Fitzgerald. We had Devontae Parker, who's been dealing with a groin injury, Mike Gesicki, and you know, Preston Williams for a quarter, you know, like he wasn't throwing any. Mac Hollins, it was his second touchdown in the NFL, you know, like no running game, rookie offensive line, his second game in the NFL. What he did yesterday was unbelievable. I mean,
that's what really stood out to me was I never doubted Tua yesterday. I don't know why, by the way. It must be because I was sipping the Kool-Aid. He was going back and forth with Kyler Murray, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, one of the most exciting young quarterbacks in the NFL. And Dolphins were down 31-24. I didn't doubt Tua. Like I trusted that Tua Tagovailoa was going to make plays. I wasn't necessarily sure the Dolphins were going to win that game. I mean, Arizona's a good team. They just beat Seattle a couple weeks ago. Like you would expect Arizona, Kyler Murray, more experience to come out and win that game in his second career start, and really only his sixth NFL quarter, because I kind of discount the third and fourth quarters in his first start against LA. Right, the offensive playbook in general throughout the entire that start was limited already, and then in the third and fourth quarters, Tua was just going out there handing the ball off. Like he had no. Chan Gailey had no intents and purposes of actually giving him an opportunity to play. So if you think about it, he played two true NFL quarters, right? Where like he was allowed to go out there and make plays. Now he comes in, he's played two more. It's the third quarter. I trusted this kid. You mentioned it. No scenario, no moment is too big when you play at Alabama. And I know the whole narrative, right? You play at Alabama, everybody's so good, it makes you look better. Okay, I mean, that's fair, I guess. But yesterday proved, no, he belongs here. And I wasn't afraid. How crazy is that? Just 6 quarters into his NFL career, I think you guys would agree. Like, I trusted this young quarterback. And what does that say about him, right? Like, what does that say at where he already is in his career?
Yeah, see, 100%. And I agree with that. And I loved it because I felt the same exact way. And at no point during that game, I think anybody coming in cold with absolutely no knowledge of the situation, nobody would have picked him out and said this is his second start of his career. You know, he looked like he belonged. Right. But what were you going to say, Brian?
Yeah, and just the other thing, too, is it wasn't just the touchdown play. Then he came back after he tied it up with the touchdown and led him down the field for the game-winning field goal. Like, wow. Wow.
At no point did he look out of place. And I do love that you touched on it because that was a part of Colin Cowherd's that was a part of his reasoning. He's claiming that Arizona's defense wasn't that good, and I disagree. I think they match up pretty evenly with Miami's defense, who he was praising. So I will absolutely argue that Tua had the more impressive showing. Don't get me wrong, Kyler Murray played a great game. He's always incredible, but we definitely need to give some credit to this young man because Tua vastly outperformed a lot of expectations, I think.
What is it with national media? Do they just like not like they can't like open a Google and see that like Arizona has the 9th ranked defense in the NFL. Like this isn't a bad defense. This isn't the Jets. They have a good defense. I mean, they're not the Rams, but it's a good defense. Like, Mina Kimes last week just bashing the offensive line, saying how horrible the Dolphins offensive line is. Like, how lazy is that? You're looking at them from last year. Like, what is with national media? They can't just like turn on a game, read a paper, look at Google. Like, come on, man.
They're not watching what we're watching, right? Yeah. Like that's the bottom line. The national media. That's why I don't get too caught up in what they say. And I say that after today I made a montage of all the hate on Tua. So obviously I do get caught up, but they're not watching every play the way you two are watching. Truly, like they're just not. So they can look at a paper, see that the Dolphins, statistically don't rank in the top whatever X percentage of the league offensive line in terms of offensive line play, but they also don't realize that when you take out weeks 1 and 2, this has been one of the most prolific offenses in the NFL, right? With Ryan Fitzpatrick. And so like they're not watching what we're watching. They're not paying attention to detail, and they're just looking at numbers and highlights. And then they're making an assessment from there, which, they're smart people. Mina Kimes, I love Mina Kimes. Like she's one of the smartest football minds on ESPN. I truly believe it. But I also understand she has 31 other teams that she's trying to give takes on. So, I try not to get too caught up in it. But Colin Cowherd's just an idiot. Like the wiggle. Like what? There's no wiggle rating on Madden. Okay, Cowherd. There's no wiggle rating on Madden. So get the hell out of here.
I did love though that it was apology fest, right? Like Dan Orlovsky apologized. Mina Kimes she felt bad for Tua last week, and she's all over Tua this week. Colin Cow. Go ahead.
Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's also what really bothers me is that everything about this Dolphins team should be loved by the media, right? So like it really bothered me. I was thinking about it last week where I'm saying, why are they hating so much? Not hating, but why are they not realizing how beloved this Miami Dolphins team can be this year and in the future? Tua Tagovailoa has it all. He's polished with the media already, right? He's 2-star 10. He's polished with the media. You can probably thank Nick Saban at Alabama for that.
Yes, sir.
This entire team is young rookies who are all just cool personalities. Every single one of them. Solomon Kinley's just like the funniest guy out there. Christian Wilkins, I know he's second-year player. He's jumping over players after they score touchdowns. Brian Flores, young coach coming out of New England. Like everything about this football team is something that the national media should love. And instead of realizing that and capitalizing on it, they'd rather just pick holes based off numbers that they're reading. It doesn't make sense. When this Dolphins team, week 17, has a chance to win this division, they're going to be one of the most talked about football teams on the planet, specifically by all these people at ESPN, and they're just not realizing it yet.
Agreed. Go ahead, Brian.
I have to ask, I think Christian Wilkins injured Preston Williams. He got up from the touchdown and he was fine and he was not limping, and then Christian Wilkins comes off and all of a sudden Preston Williams being carted off. It looks like it's just going to be a sprain. Nothing's broken, but I mean, is that what you guys heard? Did Christian Wilkins do this to Preston Williams? What do we do about this? I was scared about it when he jumped over Brandon Jacobs earlier in the season.
He's like he's like a big dog that thinks it's a lap dog. So, I mean, I haven't heard anything about it. What about you, Solana?
I saw that on Twitter. I don't know if that's confirmed or not. I did see that on Twitter, though. People posted the picture. And look, the video, it looks like it. I'm not going to lie. Preston Williams jumps into the end zone. Incredible play. Lands awkwardly. But it ended up being his ankle that he ended up hurting, right? Like a high ankle sprain. It looked like when Christian Wilkins came over and they were all jumping up and down, that's when he kind of like looked down at his ankle and he kind of starts hobbling off. So, but I don't know.
Actually,
right,
it's his foot, and he landed on his head. So
Right, exactly.
It wasn't. But do we have to get, like, you know how they have the guy on the sideline that keeps the coach from going on the field to get the 10-yard, not get the 10-yard penalty? Do we have to make somebody in charge of Christian Wilkins?
Like somebody has to restrain him. Like, please do not go to the receiver. It's all right. We're all happy. But before we move on, I do want to highlight something that you alluded to there, Solana. You were talking about how Tua came from Alabama, and that was one of the narratives when he was coming in, was that, was it all of this NFL talent around him? And that was part of what Cowherd said too, was that, the great quarterbacks don't come from these college powerhouses. But when you look at Tua's career over, the span of the time he spent in Alabama, he elevated that program. He completely transformed that program. He had like 3 different offensive coordinators, and he produced for each and every one of them. So he's very clearly the exception to the rule. I don't know why all of a sudden everybody's suddenly getting super bearish on him. Like, oh, well, you know what? Now that he actually has the starting job, maybe I'm going to walk back my Tua's the greatest prospect, rhetoric. I don't know. It just seems kind of strange to me. But
yeah. No, you couldn't have said it any better. It doesn't make any sense. I also don't know if Tua's the exception to the rule. I don't know if that's the rule that, there aren't. I mean, maybe specifically from Alabama, there aren't, you can't think of guys, because like just off the top of my head, under Nick Saban, there probably hasn't been any great quarterbacks to come out of Alabama to excel at the NFL. But how many quarterbacks did go to, elite programs and top tier programs like that? I don't think there's a rule there. I just think Colin Cowherd has to fill up 4 hours of airtime. I think it's as simple as that.
I agree. Go ahead, Brian.
It's just the dumbest take in the history of when we talk about the draft. How many quarterbacks came out of Pittsburgh before Dan Marino?
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, how many came out of Stanford before John Elway? It's him in Luck, right? Like, it doesn't matter. There's like so few elite quarterbacks. There's not a lot that come out of any college. It's just, you look at the one player. You don't look at the school. He has it. He had it at Alabama. He had it in high school, and he's showing he has it in the NFL.
And I do agree with that take. Obviously, you got to scout the player, not the helmet. I get that. But you do have to look at the history. Nick Saban has not produced a single quarterback that's gone on to be successful in the NFL, unless you count being a career backup as being successful. You got something?
Well, no, I was just going to say, you're right, by the way, right? Like, I think other than Tua, the next best quarterback, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't have a list in front of me. I'm just going off the top of my head. Maybe like A.J. McCarron.
100%.
Was like the next,
that is the one.
He was the next best, like, passing quarterback that Alabama produced. But Alabama, throughout the Nick Saban era, has never been an air it out type of offense. They've never been a hurry up type of offense. They've just been, we're going to run it down your throat. We have better athletes than you. Our guys up front are better than yours, and we're going to exhaust you. And that's how they've won football games until Tua Tagovailoa. And I guess you could say Jalen Hurts as well. Like, he was very good as well. But right. But yeah, so I mean, they weren't looking for the Tuas. They weren't looking for the De'Aaron Kings.
Yeah,
they just weren't. Like they didn't need those guys. They needed guys who were going to make safe, accurate throws, and that's where you get the A.J. McCarrons. And then yes, A.J. McCarron looked so much better because he had athletes all over the field, and his running backs were studs. But
that's exactly.
Tua came in as a rookie and won a national championship game after not having played or started the entire season, and he threw a 50-yard bomb, perfect back shoulder pass into the end zone in overtime to win a football game. A.J. McCarron never would have done that. No. Quarterbacks who have it can make plays like that.
That's exactly it, and that is the difference, is Tua does have it. He's got that it factor, and we can all see it. So I'm hoping to see more of that moving forward. Let's see him string a few more of these kind of performances together. So then moving on to the defense. I know we're going to talk about our favorite guy, Emmanuel Ogbah. This man, 7 sacks in 8 games. the second game with a strip sack return for a touchdown. And of course, don't forget the 28-yard sack that preserved the shutout versus New York. Previous high in 4 seasons?
This is his 5th year.
Yeah, had 5.5 sacks, 2-year, $15 million contract. This man is clearly vastly outperforming what they were expecting to pay him for. So that's all news. Solana, what were your thoughts on his performance and really the defense as a whole?
I mean, you can't speak more or better about the defense, right, than like everybody already has. But Emmanuel Ogbah, just his value is incredible. I saw Adam Beasley tweeted this earlier. It was my Dolphins question of the day today on Hoch Crowder. Is Emmanuel Ogbah the best acquisition the Miami Dolphins have? And it is. Like, I don't think other than the draft and Tua, I'm just saying guys you picked up that weren't through the draft. Emmanuel Ogbah right now is the 25th highest paid defensive lineman in the NFL, and he's in the top 4 for sacks, right? He already passed his career high. He's top 4 right now. He's making $7.5 million, and he's been your anchor defensively. So like immediately, props to Chris Grier, another area. Props to Brian Flores, another area where you can just give these guys credit. They're finding guys and making them better. That's all you can ask for out of your GM and your head coach.
Exactly. See, I told you, Brian, almost every single episode, we end up having to pat Chris Grier on the back. We're going to have to send him an edible arrangement. I said that a few episodes back, and I am so serious. But what were your thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, you just can't say enough about Emmanuel Ogbah. And not only is he outperforming everything that he's ever done and that he's being paid for, he's bringing up the level of play around him. And, you know, this isn't Adelaide Ogunleye. And I don't know if you guys are old enough to know who that is. This isn't Trace Armstrong, who is on the other side of Jason Taylor. Both of those players were on the other side of Jason Taylor's and set Miami Dolphin records in sacks because they came up against Jason Taylor. This guy's doing this. He is the catalyst for all of this. You know, Shaq Lawson is looking better because of Ogbah. And, you know, after a couple games, yeah, I wasn't sending Chris Grier an edible arrangement. You know, Ogbah and Lawson didn't look great, but, you know, after those first 2 games, these guys have really come on, and Ogbah's playing great. And something that's got to be said, though, is the rest of the defense. I mean, Kyler Murray is Kyler Murray. I mean, he played really well yesterday, ran for 100 yards, threw for 300 yards, had a bunch of touchdowns, probably our worst game out of our secondary. And I think that almost speaks more of what Tua did is, yes, Ogbah had the sack, strip, return for a touchdown, but there wasn't too many more plays made on defense outside of we got to give Byron Jones a little credit that 3rd and 1 where he stopped Murray and made him go for that field goal that he missed. That was amazing. But there wasn't a lot of plays on defense. And, you know, the fact that the week before we won because our defense, this week we won because of Tua, and it's nice to know you can win both ways, right? Like some days it's going to be Tua, some days it's got to be the defense.
I actually had a really good laugh about that when that defensive play happened, because on the last episode we were like, we can't count on this sort of thing happening every week, and then of course that happens right out the gate, and I'm like, well, I guess we can. Never mind. But it was nice to see Tua step up, and he played exactly how I had said that he needed to in order to win this game. And wow, it was really something to watch. But of course, that defense, and I don't think we'd be at this point without them. No. And so we got to give the shout outs to everybody, the whole defense and Coach Flo, Josh Boyer, Chris Grier, of course. They're doing a great job. But you alluded to that, though. Not a great day for the secondary, which contributed to the running quarterbacks who do seem to give us fits. Cam Newton gave us some trouble. Russell Wilson, Josh Allen, and of course now Kyler Murray. So, were you raising your hand, Brian?
No. But I mean, we don't have any more on the schedule. Okay. I mean, maybe Cam Newton later on, but I don't see him being where he was at week 1 in December 20th. So
yeah. No, by the way, Emmanuel Ogbah, since we had mentioned him, enjoy him this season, Dolphins fans, because dude's gonna go get paid next year. And
we got him for one more year. We do have him for one more year. He's got a 2-year, $15 million contract. So
my bad.
He probably will hold out, but we'll have to pay him.
Oh, never mind. I was gonna say he's gonna go get paid, and I don't think the Dolphins are gonna pay what he's gonna want.
No. There's also a possibility with that in mind that we could end up trading him. If we can find that kind of production elsewhere, or at least something that's even kind of approaching that, we might be able to get some good value for him. So, and then that other team will have to pay him. So, well, I guess that remains to be seen. Now, we do have to touch on this running game. Like I was saying, Jordan Howard, I'm out on him. If it were up to me, I'd give him his money, send him on his way. Thank you very much. Thanks for playing. You can keep the jersey, I guess. Go see if somebody else will sign you, because I mean he didn't even average 2 yards per carry in this game, and I think a lot of people were expecting him to kind of pick up the slack as the bell cow back. That's not what I saw anyways. But what were your thoughts, Solana? What you thinking?
I mean, give him the ball when the Dolphins are on the 1 yard line. He's going to get you a touchdown, and that's about it, right? I mean, really, there's not much else with Jordan Howard. I mean, it's disappointing, but I think the Dolphins have kind of already told you that it was a mistake or signing him, right?
Yeah.
I think they've shown you that already. Chan Gailey's kind of squeezed them out of the offense. I mean, this week we saw him because of injuries or whatever, but yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing too much of Jordan Howard at all moving forward. That's
exactly it though, right there, is they've already told us, if not for the injuries, he hasn't dressed in like 2 games. So it's wild. I think that we've got this shift towards backs that are a little bit more built like Myles Gaskin. I love it because Brian actually had pointed it out to me that Ahmad, that young man who had just come off the practice squad, he is almost a Myles Gaskin clone. Looked just like him out there too, and was averaging something like, what was that? Little over, just under 5.5 yards per carry, something like that. He looked really good. So that kind of seems like the direction to go in to me. But what do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, we got hopefully Burita comes back next week. I mean, we're definitely going to be without Gaskin for 3 weeks. So hopefully we don't have to rely on Howard again. Hopefully, I don't know how bad Burita's hamstring is. I mean, if Burita can't go next week, we're going to have to get by with Howard and Ahmed. How do you say Solomon Ahmed?
Salvin, I thought it was Ahmed, but they were calling him Ahmed.
I noticed that. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that.
If you trust James Lofton, it's Ahmed. Yeah, right.
He's not a 20 rush, a game kind of guy. So, hopefully Breeda's back. Hopefully Breida, I was hopeful yesterday that Howard, maybe he just didn't get a fair shake. And I mean, he did bring his yards per carry up from 0.08 to 1.2. So maybe if he plays another game, he gets it up to 1.4. But maybe, we haven't seen a lot from Breida. Maybe if he gets to play next week, maybe we can finally see the Breida that we went out and traded for. Le'Veon Bell's not coming around the mountain. We need somebody to step up and,
let me tell you. That first Jordan Howard rush was actually like poetry in motion. He picked up 2 yards, and I'm like, that's exactly what I was expecting right there. But I feel like we kind of skipped over this a little bit, and I always love to touch on it because it's one of the shining spots, one of the brightest spots on our team is the special teams. You gotta love this. First of all, shout out to special teams coordinator Danny Crossman. I gotta give him a shout out anytime we bring the special teams up because, hey, he's doing a good job. Football's a coach's sport. But Jason Sanders, he is staking his claim to join the Miami Dolphins Mount Rushmore. I called him King Sanders last night because, I mean, this man is he's incredible. What was it, 20 field goals in a row, breaking Alindo Mare's previous record of 19. I mean, the man is money. What he thumped was a 50. Either of you guys got that?
54
or 56.
Yeah. Either way, it was a record breaking kick. And wow, this man has been You know what? I can't use that word because that's bad. That's bad juju. And actually, somebody got mad at me for pointing out that Howard had held DeAndre Hopkins to 0 catches, 0 targets, and after that, he started getting all those penalty flags. So I got to be careful what I say. But Jason Sanders, I see you out there, man. But he wasn't alone, of course. Matt. Now, I've never understood exactly. I've heard his name pronounced both ways, Hack and Hawk. Does either of you guys know which it's actually supposed to be?
Let's call him Matt.
Okay.
Good with Matt.
Matt the punter. 16 punts inside the 20. Only 46 return yards on 20 punts. This dude has been incredible. I've watched a few of his bounce. I know you were looking for that stat of how many that he has pinned inside the 10, and he's been very good at that. In fact, one of my favorite stories of this entire season was from that Jacksonville game because after halftime, the special teams came out first, and that's what he was doing. Matt went out there and he thumped a couple, and then almost immediately they had a 3 and out, and he ended up punting and pinned them at like their own 5 or something like that. And I was like, wow, you know, so he's really working at that craft, and it's really showing up on the field. Solana, what are you thinking about the special teams? How do they look to you?
No, I mean, I don't think anybody can say they don't look anything but great, right? I will say we're the only special teams unit in the NFL that has a punter and kicker that completed a touchdown pass to each other last year. That still holds. And yeah, Sanders has overtaken Dan Carpenter as my favorite Dolphins kicker of all time. And I know it's controversial. Because Dan Carpenter missed a lot of field goal kicks, but I love Carpenter for whatever reason. I love Carpenter. So, but Sanders has overtaken it. He's just safe, man. Like that. There's nothing else to say. He's safe. You feel good. You feel good with him out there.
That's exactly it. He is a kicker that you believe in, so that if it does look kind of dire, you feel perfectly all right saying, you know what, Sanders, go ahead, win this game for us.
But at the end of the day, like, keep making them, because the second Sanders misses one, I don't care what happens. Like, you miss a kick, everybody's gonna turn on you. You miss an important kick, everybody will turn on you. So keep making them, Jason. Keep making them.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, they're just special. Everything that's happening on special teams. What I love about Matt Hack, whatever you want to call him, the punter, is
the punter.
How does he do that when if the ball is not caught and it lands inside the 10-yard line, it just stops. There's no bounce. Like, how do you do that? Where do you go to school for that? Like, it's freaking insane. 46 return yards on 20 punts. I mean, what they're doing with Hack and Sanders are doing is just unbelievable. You throw in Grant's touchdown. Somebody's got to tell Igbenogany, don't take the ball out of the end zone. I mean, how often is it? Like, it's got to be like 80% of the time, if you take the ball out of the end zone, somebody's going to make a block in the back or a holding penalty, and you're going to start with the ball on the 10-yard line. Luckily, Tua bailed us out, but it happens all the time. So tell Igbenogany, just let it go in the end zone like Grant was doing before him. So, but besides that special teams is just killing it.
Igbenogany wants to make a play so bad, though. Like, I give him that at least. Because he got torched week 2 against the Bills. Like, he's just having a rough go at it for his rookie season. I think he'll be all right, by the way. Like, he's a rookie. He's been put in some tough situations. But you could tell he just wants to make a play for this team so badly.
I agree.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And he's incredibly young, too. And unfortunately, after getting torched in week 2, I mean, the fan base was just, they did not hold back on him.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, that was a little uncalled for. But I agree. I think at this point now, he wants to do anything, wants to contribute any way he can. Because, I mean, who wouldn't want to? You know, look at the whole team going on there. By the way, you were talking about Dan Carpenter. The only thing I'll hold against him is that he ended his career with the Bills. And you ask where they teach that at, man. It is called the University of Danny Crossman. I don't know.
There you go.
I won't give him all the credit, but look, the special teams has been one of the brightest spots on this team. That man needs some credit. So go ahead.
Solana, I gotta ask you about Carpenter. Is it the mullet? Is that what was so attractive to you about him? What was it about Carpenter that you loved?
I think, and this is gonna sound crazy, he was so unreliable that when he made a field goal, you were just so happy, right? Like, you know, when people just let you down so much that when they do come through, you're just over the top excited. I think that's what it was with Dan Carpenter. He was never reliable, but he did come through for the Fins a lot. Like, I remember there was a kick against the Jets at Hard Rock Stadium, and I listened to it on the radio. It was like one of my favorite Dolphins moments. A season that didn't matter. The Dolphins didn't make the playoffs like every year. But Dan Carpenter hit like a 50-yard field goal to beat the Jets as time expired. Like just things like that. Just stick in the back of your head. And yes,
very,
the mullet,
very emotional moments.
The mullet, yeah, the mullet also had something to do with it. He reminds me of the guy from The Replacements that would kick field goals and had a cigarette in his mouth the entire time. Yeah.
I love that. So it is an incredibly complete team we seem to have here. And now we seem to have found the missing piece into a remaining schedule coming up. Now we go versus the Chargers, who are 2-6. I think now Herbert, he got hurt in the last game. I didn't see how badly, so I don't know if he'll be available. Then we go on at Denver, at the Jets, and then versus Cincy. And then, of course, Kansas City, then at Oakland, at Buffalo. So, I mean, looking at that, and now having seen what we've seen out of Tua and this team collectively, I guess I will start with you, Solana. What are you thinking about this final prediction? I think we asked you this the first time we had you on. I want to see if that's changed at all.
I don't remember what I told you guys. I'm sure it has, because my expectations now are through the roof. I was talking to Brian right before we started recording. I can see this situation where the Dolphins are playing Buffalo, final week of the season, week 17. Both teams are playing for the division championship, and I'm going for it. I'm going 11-5 this year. I know that's crazy. But I'm going for it. Like, I think the Dolphins just had an insane test, and I know that's crazy. I totally understand. It sounds like I'm being a homer, but I look at the rest of the schedule, and I could see this team winning 6 of their next 8. Like, I think I can see it. I think I can. Brian, am I crazy? I see you looking at me like I'm kind of crazy, but
no, absolutely. I don't see more than 3 losses on this schedule, so that would take us to 10-6 at worst. It's the NFL. You can't bank on anything, and it is a rookie quarterback, so maybe 9-7. But 9-7 to 11-5 is, but hell, 12-4 is not off the table. This team could.
Let's rise. Let's go.
This team could
13-3.
There we go.
Let's go.
We could definitely win the AFC East. I mean, tell me who on the schedule we can't beat. There's one team, right?
Kansas City.
That's it. And this is the NFL. Mahomes.
Any given Sunday.
Right? The Raiders beat them. I would like to see how long we can keep this winning streak going. That's another interesting question. I wish I put that up on a poll. I see the next
great one.
I see the next 4. That would take us to 8 in a row. Yep. That would be pretty freaking cool. I'm looking forward to Herbert. I'm looking forward to the Burrow game. Dancing Drew Lock at Denver. I mean, that's always going to be a hard game going out there, but I could definitely see the AFC East coming down to at Buffalo, and it's going to be Allen and Tua for a while in the AFC East, and I like Tua. Allen's good and he has his games, but he's also very unpredictable and not always accurate. So. Mm-hmm. I like our chances. I think we're definitely going to the playoffs. I can't imagine this team not making the playoffs.
Agreed. And that's actually a very good point. And that was something I wanted to touch on earlier, and it completely slipped my mind because, that's the nature of the conversation. But people sometimes, I think, mix up arm strength versus arm talent. And I think sometimes we forget, look, you can have the strongest arm in the world. Just because you can throw it from the center of the field to the parking lot doesn't mean that you're going to be a good NFL quarterback. I think Josh Allen's a perfect example of that. He does. He has those games where he looks the part. He looks incredible, but then he has other games where it's like, who the hell let this guy in, you know? And one thing Tua does have, though, is incredible arm talent. That accuracy is unparalleled. I haven't seen anybody else throw it the way he throws it and deliver the ball. I mean, on the move, this man's running to his right and somehow put it on his receiver on the sideline. I mean, some of these throws other guys cannot make. You have not seen it. And I guess that's really just the point I wanted to make there, is discerning between arm strength and arm talent, because Cowherd wanted to knock him on his arm strength. So yeah, I think my prediction has kind of shifted a little bit. I know I was closer to the 8-8, 9-7, but I'm definitely looking 10-6 right now, because I agree there's some very winnable games ahead of us for sure. These next 4, Kansas City, I mean, that's about the only team we can't, definitively say, yeah, we can absolutely beat that team, but you never know any given Sunday, right? Oakland, we can beat. Buffalo would be tough, but we could beat them. I mean, there's a lot of winnable games here. I do think at the very least we can go 10-6 and enter the playoffs. But with that, I don't have any other thoughts on it other than that. I do think I love the direction this team is heading in. I love how complete of a team that we have, and I'm eager to see what comes next. I'm excited for next week. But with that, if nobody else has any final thoughts, I will go ahead and take us out. Go on, Brian.
Yeah, I just got to say for final thoughts, looking at the final schedule, you got to love, we play our best football against quarterbacks, more statuesque quarterbacks, and that's what you're looking at, at least for the next 4 or 5 games. Even the Oakland game at Oakland looks tough, but it's a guy that stands back there and he can't make you miss. But the last final thought I have is, we're way further than we probably all thought we'd be at this point. And we're talking playoffs and year 2 of this rebuild. And we have Houston's first and second round draft choice. We have $60 million in free agency. Like, this is, man, I can't remember a good, like Solana and I were just talking about it. The Chiefs are in a better spot than us going forward for the next couple of years. Outside of that, tell me who you'd rather be at GM right now. We have a good emerging coach, a great emerging quarterback. I mean, money to spend, draft capital to go, everything's looking up. I was, in the 90s, it was awesome to be a Dolphin fan, and it hasn't been in a really long time. And we're back at that point where it is awesome to be a Miami Dolphin fan, and we should start in Monday night games and Sunday night games. And you look at the last 3 games, I know the Oakland one is already scheduled that it could be a primetime game, but how are they not going to flex some of these games into prime time, I'm
kind of surprised we didn't get more of these rookie-to-rookie contests getting pushed into prime time, especially, I mean, I know Kyler wasn't a rookie, but that would have been a pretty good one. I know that one was in the evening, but like up against Herbert or, God forbid, Joe Burrow, who was first overall. I mean, how do you not want to put that? As the NFL, how do you not want to put that in prime time? But go ahead, Solana.
No, just to piggyback off of what Brian said, as somebody who wasn't around in the 90s, I was born in 94. So again, 2000s and on, Jay Fiedler and on is what I remember of the Dolphins. And right. And most of that has been disappointing. It feels so good already. And we're just 2 weeks into this new era. That's how I put it into the proper context. I am this hyped already for Tua Tagovailoa in this era of Dolphins football. It feels this good already after 2 wins under Tua, 4 straight wins this season, and we're just 2 weeks into what hopefully will be a long, illustrious career for this guy. I can't imagine. I can't imagine 2 years down the road, 5 years down the road, perennial playoff contenders, perhaps make a Super Bowl win. I can't imagine. And I think you're right, Brian. I don't think there's another team I'd rather be, other than the Chiefs, obviously, we get that, than the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. Go on.
I just got to say one other thing, too. Actually, I think I just lost it. Oh no, yes, I gotta pose a question to both of you guys. Okay. So we have Tua, fantastic. We have Brian Flores, fantastic. You know, like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, who are you more excited about right now? Like, not you, like Cowherd was talking about it today. You know, this is not just a quarterback league. You know, this is not just a coach league. This is, you need that pair, and I think we got it, man. I'm just excited. I wanted Tua 2 years ago, and I'm just as excited about Brian Flores as I am about Tua. It's pretty freaking amazing.
So is the question which one we're more excited about?
Sure.
So I'm going to have to, as much as I love Tua, and everybody don't kill me for this, but I got to say I'm more excited for Coach Flo.
Wow.
Yeah, I am, because I feel like a good coach can win with even an okay quarterback. You know, I feel like Coach Flores could have won with Tannehill, but, you know, that's a different story for a different time. But I am excited for Tua, but yeah, I've definitely got to say more excitement is reserved for Coach Flo. I'm happy to have found the head coach. Well, what about you,
coaches?
Solana?
Don't get injured.
That's right.
They do get COVID though. They do get COVID, and that was proven this week.
They get COVID among other things. Let's not forget that too.
Chris Forrester,
the Washington football team's coach right now. Their head coach,
Rivera.
That's right, and he's not the only one to have suffered that sort of illness. So it happens, but you're 100% right though. They don't get smashed up on the field.
Yeah.
But,
no, I mean I'm more excited for Tua than anything, guys. And I love Brian Flores, by the way. Like I've been in on Flores since last year. Mm-hmm. But make no mistake about it, this is a quarterback-driven league. And you're totally right, by the way. The pairing is more important. But if you're asking me who would I rather have, Aaron Rodgers or Mike McCarthy, or Aaron Rodgers and LaFleur or whatever the hell his name is. Like, everybody's choosing Aaron Rodgers. I think this year proved who would you rather have, Bill Belichick or Tom Brady, and I think this season proved you'd rather have Tom Brady, even though Sunday night's loss was an embarrassment for Tampa Bay. But Tua Tagovailoa is who I'd rather have.
That is such a tough call, and I
we don't have to make it.
Yeah, see, I got to push back on that. I do. Because I get it. I mean, the only difference is that we know what those are. We know what those quarterbacks are. They are very known commodities. Aaron Rodgers for sure. Mike McCarthy wasn't the one running that show, although,
right.
I think he would have been my choice for the New York job, but that's neither here nor there. With this, we don't know yet. I mean, we like what we've seen so far, but there's still. I mean, how long has Aaron Rodgers been playing at this point? Because we know Tom Brady's Tom Brady's got 2 decades, so we know exactly what we have in them. We don't necessarily know what we have in Tua, but I like the direction that Coach Flo has this team going in, having started with basically janitors and future fry cooks and Foot Locker managers, and really and managed to produce wins with that. So I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree there. But if everybody else is done, I'll take us out. So make sure you subscribe to the Fin Addicts Miami Dolphins podcast on the Fin Addicts Network, or available wherever podcasts are available. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Brian tells me there's other ones, but I don't know. I've never really looked. We do what we do for all of you. Get on there and leave us a nice review. And make sure to follow the Fin Addicts Network on YouTube, youtube.com/Fin Addicts Network. Of course, follow us on Twitter, Fin_Addicts, or you could just disregard all of this and go to the website, www.FinAddictsNetwork.com, where all of that information is available, as well as there's a team schedule, and we've got the episodes. This one will be on there, the videos, contests, you name it, it's on there. Brian, would you like to expand on that anymore?
Yeah, we also have a couple other shows that are on there. We have Dougly Do Wrong and Welcome to Perfectville is also on the website. We are fan media based too, so we'll keep you updated on the injury reports, on the active and inactive list. So, definitely check out FinAddictsNetwork.com. We also have all kinds of specials on, if you want to join my bookie, we'll save you 20% off. Patchvibes.com will save you 20%. So check out FinaddictsNetwork.com. It will save you money and you'll have a fun time doing it.
That's right. Don't forget 20% off from Manscaped. You can get yourself a perfect package 3.0. Comes with the lawnmower 3.0. It's fantastic. I actually have one, use it every day. I highly recommend it. But thank you for all of us. Solana, thank you for hanging out with us, coming to see us again. Everybody be sure to check him out. Hochman and Crowder on 560 The Joe. And of course, you still do the Dolphins broadcast for the radio, right?
Yep. The executive producer of the Dolphins broadcast, but I will plug my Miami Dolphins Rewind show every Sunday, 8 a.m. Get you caught up going into the Miami Dolphins broadcast, or if it's a 4 p.m. kickoff, a couple hours before, but get you caught up. You'll hear Brian Flores, what he said, Tua, and I think if you enjoy this, you'll also enjoy that.
Brian.
We're back on. I know today we were off the air because of the tropical storm. We're going back on the air tomorrow, right? I can get Joe Rose and Hochman and Crowder tomorrow.
Yes. We were on. Hawk and Crowder were on, okay. But yeah, Joe Rose and Zach Krantz will be on tomorrow. Hawk and Crowder 2 to 6 on 560 The Joe, WQAM, and 790 The Ticket, both local stations in South Florida.
Very
which
cool.
You can catch on radio.com if you do not live in the South Florida area, which is where I do.
I loved that title, though, executive producer. That sounds fancy.
Yeah, it does. A little fancy. It does sound a little. I wish they paid me for how it sounded, but
I dig that. But I guess for all of us here at the Fin Addicts Network, Brian, Solana, let's go out the way we normally do with a nice fins up.
Fins up, baby.
Fins up, guys.